this. How do you think the 49ers have handled their quarterback controversy?
I think they've handled it the best way that they could. I don't think it would I don't think obviously the fans and media could have viewed it as more of a controversy. I don't think the team did. I think the team was going to do it with the understanding that Jimmy was going to have to lose the job for Trey to take over. And I think there still is some ambiguity of who's going to be starting week 1, but I think more likely than not, I think it will be Jimmy Garoppolo taking those first snaps against Detroit. But yeah, I think they've handled it pretty well. They're kind of in a situation where it doesn't really, not that it kind of matters, but also like given the first 2 weeks of the season, they can go with either quarterback and feel confident about them winning. And honestly, maybe even further into the season, because it sounding like a broken record right now, but when Garoppolo is on the field, we've seen in 2019 how much they can win, and against some really good teams too. Like even like last year, like the Packers destroyed the 49ers because they literally had no one. Their best player out on the field was Fred Warner, obviously on defense, but their best offensive player that night was Richie James.
Yeah, I was about to say Richie James Jr. balled out that night. Man.
Yeah, but then you saw it with Garoppolo when the team was full strength. It was like a combined score of 52-0 in the first half between both of the games that they played against each other. So, and yeah, circumstances are different this year than 2019, obviously, and they're different from 2020. They're different from year to year, but yeah, I think they handled it pretty well. I think there's an understanding from both sides, like the coaching staff and the front office and the players, that Trey Lance will be the quarterback. Obviously, one day, it's just a matter of when. And I think this is where they're going to have to, really put their, evaluation skills to the test here and make that move at the right time.
Yeah, and I think that's really the tough part about the 49ers quarterback controversy. It is such a delicate situation. I don't think there is a real good, easy answer to how this should be handled. And in fact, I got to agree with you, which is that, was your point earlier, which was, I think they've done the best they could with this situation. Like I said, it's very delicate. You look at Jimmy Garoppolo's standing with the team, how the organization feels about him, how the locker room feels about him. And I think it shouldn't be lost on people how often we talk about the 49ers family environment, the fact that Kyle has a certain way he runs things and that you earn things, right? And there is an inner circle within the 49ers, and there is that atmosphere that you don't really hear from the New Englands of the world, or maybe some organizations that aren't considered as sentimental as the 49ers are. And I think this is where it bites you in the butt, Vinny, because then when you want to try and get off players that you maybe should be just trying to get rid of, it makes it much, much harder, much more complicated because of all the team dynamics that are happening because of that. So in my mind, and I think maybe in your mind, Vinny, too, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Trey Lance probably gives the 49ers the best chance to win, but I don't think he's outwardly proven it to the point where it's so obvious that they have to give him the reins.
Yeah, and I think it happened that's where kind of, I guess, the controversy kind of comes in. Garoppolo didn't do enough to, assure his starting spot, but Trey also didn't do enough to take over, really take over. Obviously, you see the one throw against the Chiefs, and you're like, I've seen enough, right? But then you see the struggles that he had in the next 2 games, and and again, I think it just happened in both ways, and it's kind of just they're in a middle ground in a gray area of what they're gonna do. And again, I think Garoppolo is going to start week 1, and I don't think that's a bad thing given the what they have those first 2 games. It's just a matter of when they make that switch, and it's not a problem either if they start Trey Lance week 1. So and throughout the whole, I think they've handled it well in the sense what you mentioned before. This is a very delicate situation, and you got to make sure that you're evaluating the right things and doing the right things at the right time. And I think moving to Trey Lance 2